Lieutenant General Russell Honore. He commanded the military response to Hurricane Katrina. General, thanks very much for joining us. So what do you think FEMA could be doing right now to speed up the delivery of this aid?
Well, get some troops in there from the 7th Trans, a transportation unit on the East Coast there. Their job is to run ports. They could have been in there since last Sunday is the sad thing about this, Wolf. Also bring an Air Force outfit in that can run an airfield. They should have been in there since Sunday. And to bring the United States Army part of the 82nd airfield opening so you can go open the other airfields around the islands. None of that's been done because it's been slow to deploy the military. You know, it took us 7 days to appoint a brigadier general and another 24 hours for them to make a decision in the Pentagon, and we need a 3-star general. I don't know what the hell's going on back there. They're using words I don't understand, yet we never use to win wars, like partners, with our partners. No, I'm not your partner, FEMA. I'm a command that you give me a mission and said, take water, fuel, and save the people of Puerto Rico. That's what we operate off as a mission. The military didn't get that mission until yesterday. Up until yesterday, there's only 2,200 federal troops in and around Puerto Rico. That's including those out on ships. We've got to do better than this, Bush and Wolf. And I'm telling you, after this is over, I'm going to see Senator McCain and Graham, and we're going to I want to work with them on some legislation not to never let this happen again. Because something happened since Katrina. That our North Commander, General Jeffrey Buchanan going in there, his headquarters exists 365 days a year just for this mission. And it took us 8 days to mobilize him and tell him come do it.
Yeah,
I don't
because in the
understand
last
what's
hour,
going on in the Pentagon.
As you point out, only in the last hour did we learn that the Pentagon appointed Lieutenant General Jeffrey Buchanan to lead all U.S. military hurricane efforts in Puerto Rico. He's expected to arrive in Puerto Rico later today. We know that his first priority, General Honore, will need to be aid distribution, saving lives. So walk us through what General Buchanan is about to do, and I agree with you, he should have been on the scene a week ago.
And he's the right man. That's his job as a 5th Army commander. He's had multiple experiences in 5th Army to include a job as a DCO. He knows what he's doing. He's to set the priority of work and then figure out what damn rules he got to break, Wolf. We never would have evacuated the city of New Orleans if I listened to the TSA and to the pilots. The pilots wanted manifests and the TSA wanted IDs. We waived those rules and we got the people out of there. The next thing, he needs to have the authority to command. Is he a JTF commander or is he a partner? He needs to have the authority to make decisions for the president. President Bush leaned in my ear and said, look, you get this done. And whatever it takes to get it done, you get it done. And he looked to the governor and Homeland Security and said, let the general get this thing evacuated and get this thing settled now, and then we'll go back to normal stuff. And that's what he did. General Buchanan needs to get that call from the president and said, you do what you got to do to make this happen, save lives, bring in troops from the 7th Transportation that know how to operate all those trucks. Bring in the Marines. They know how to do clearing of the temporary airfields, and the 82nd Airborne, parts of them have an airfield clearing unit. And the United States Air Force has been sitting down, wrangling their hands. I can tell you they want to get in there. They can put people there that can run that airfield and 10 others. Get this, Wolf. In Hurricane Irma, we had an aircraft carrier. If that aircraft carrier came over the horizon, it could have run all of the air in and out of Puerto Rico. The second day, they could have had an AWACS above running the airfield in Puerto Rico 24/7. The military has the capacity to do this. And what I'm going to see Senator McCain and Graham about, we're going to create a damn law that the next time we have hurricane season, Department of Defense needs to be prepared to handle 3 back-to-back Category 4 storms, and we maneuver on those storms just like we did in Florida. Florida was a textbook operation. General Calhoun put his guard in. The federal troops came in by sea and by air, and it was a textbook operation. It was a difficult operation. We needed even more than that. Scale up, Wolf. They need to scale up in Puerto Rico. In Katrina, I had 20,000 federal troops, not federal workers, federal troops. I had 20 ships and over 240 helicopters. And Puerto Rico is bigger than Katrina. And if somebody from the Pentagon want to call me or from Northern Command, call me. I'll give you the damn numbers because they're in the after-action report and the lessons learned. It doesn't look like we learned anything. We are slow. The issue with the United States is we always do the right thing, but we do it slow and late. And right now, that the people of Puerto Rico are going to pay that bill.
I've been speaking to military personnel. If you had 20,000 troops helping you during Katrina, which was a relatively smaller area than Puerto Rico, you need maybe 50,000 U.S. troops on the ground right now and at sea, in the air, trying to save the lives of these people right now. And it's a mission that the U.S. military is anxious to undertake. They're just awaiting the order. Maybe General Buchanan can give them that order. I want you to stand by, General Honore. I want to bring in another guest right now, Congressman Steny Hoyer. He's the Democratic House Minority Whip. Congressman, you made an impassioned plea this morning for the American citizens. More than 3.5 million Americans are in Puerto Rico right now. Give me your reaction to the federal response, at least so far.
Well, I agree absolutely with General Honore, who went into New Orleans and got the job done. We haven't done that. We haven't deployed enough resources at this point in time. As he said, Katrina was a more contained geographical area. This is a much larger one. Very frankly, General Honore, I think it has said it all. We need to deploy every resource necessary. Very frankly, that aircraft carrier that went in to Florida should be diverted down to Puerto Rico now, the air assets, the requisite personnel, and what General Honore said, I hope General Buchanan has all the authority he needs to get this job done. We have people, I talked to Secretary Price early this morning, about people who are dying because of their inability to get to a dialysis center that works. Frankly, they can't get anywhere. Some of the dialysis centers are up and running in some of the urban areas, but folks can't get to it. We need to have enough personnel on the ground working every day to make sure that we can save lives. There will be time, and we ought to have legislation to give the resources necessary to rehabilitate. But right now, this is about saving lives in the face of one of the biggest humanitarian crises we've had in this country. Yeah, these are Americans, and we ought to respond as vigorously as we respond to any other crisis in the world or here on the mainland.
Yeah, we deployed the Abraham Lincoln, the aircraft carrier, the Abraham Lincoln, to Florida, and it would not be all that difficult to move that aircraft carrier over to Puerto Rico right now.
Frankly, we should.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, frankly, Wolf, we should have done that days ago. General Honore is correct. I mean, yesterday we started mobilizing. The day before that, or 2 days before that, I had called for appointing an individual similar to General Honore to be in charge of coordination and, very frankly, of getting the job done without having to worry about any red tape or any by your leave kind of comments. We need to save lives. We need to be in there with full resources. The armed forces can get the job done if they're given full authority to do so and the resources to get it done.
And if it requires more than one aircraft carrier, send in 2 or 3 or 4, whatever it takes with the troops to save these people's lives.
That's why I say whatever resources are needed ought to be deployed, frankly, days ago, but now.
Very quickly, when are you going to vote on legislation to fund this massive reconstruction effort in Puerto Rico? This is not going to be cheap, as you know.
Well, it's not going to be cheap, but it needs to be done. These are American citizens, and just as we did in New Orleans, just as we will do in Houston and as we'll do in Florida, we need to make sure that with the states, of course, Texas has resources, Florida has resources, Puerto Rico is stretched, as we know. They've had great fiscal difficulties, so we need to make sure that we build back better. We don't put in second-rate systems that will be subject to devastation by a Category 4 or Category 5 hurricane. We've got to expect that's going to happen again, and we need to prepare for that kind of devastation.
Well, when are you going to vote for the funding?
Well, I think we'll hopefully vote for the funding before we leave here in the next 2 weeks. Clearly, one of the things that has to be done is an inventory and assessment of what spending is needed. But we need to do this, I think, before, I would hope and urge that we do it before we leave here. We have another 2 weeks, and then we have a week break for a district work period again. Frankly, before we leave, we ought to have a bill that appropriates sufficient funds. It won't be all the funds necessary. That'll be done over time. But whatever is needed in the short term, we ought to provide authority for before we leave here in 2 weeks.
All right, Congressman Steny Hoyer, thanks very much for joining us. The people in Puerto Rico are counting on all of us to help during this desperate situation. Appreciate it very much. We're going to have much more coming up on the break.